Hari Om. Om Ganganapataye Namah. Om Gungurubhyo Namah. Om Saraswatye Namah. Today we will be discussing about the 7th spiritual instructions in the series of 20 spiritual instructions given by our worshipful and beloved Gurudev Sri Swami Shivananda Maharaj. So it says about Swadhyay. Gurudev instructs, study systematically the Gita, the Ramayana, the Bhagavatam, Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam, Adhytma Hridaya, Upanishads or Yoga Vasishtha, the Bible, Janda-Vesta, the Quran, the Tripitakas, the Granth Sahib, etc. from half an hour to 1 hour daily and have Shuddha Vichar. How to awaken the divinity within us, how to progress higher and higher towards spiritual development cannot be learned from the books of law, medicine or books on business, etc. To work out the eternal destiny of our souls, we have to go to books other than the college texts and other books that fill the ordinary library. We have to go to the spiritual books, the lives of saints, and these have within themselves the germs of the truths of life. And therefore, Swadhyay is a golden key that opens for us the doors of the treasury of eternal wisdom, the treasury of spiritual knowledge, guidance upon the path of perfection and immortal life. That is the value of Swadhyay. To peep into the psychological value of Swadhyay and its practical value, what we can gain from Swadhyay in our usual life, we have to ponder. It has got a very deep and intelligent reason. We know that every experience our mind comes to have, at once it takes in the impression of it, leaves a mark on itself. These marks become the seeds, and we know how the nature of the mind changes according to the vasanas that it goes on acquiring. All these things are taken into account, and they said that if a man is to progress at all and he has to overcome unfavorable vasanas, some methods should be devised to counter these vasanas that are coming into our mind in our vyavaharik life. And for countering these vrittis, our ancestors gave us Swadhyay. Swadhyay works in somewhat this way. Supposing we drive a nail on the log of wood and we find that it is not wanted there. Instead of tugging it, we hold another nail and go on driving the second nail. The previous nail will come out, and the same process, the second also will have gone into the plank. Something like that. Instead of every day trying to pull out and throw out every single vasana, which involves a lot of nervous energy, Swadhyaya doth some remedy. Every day, in the morning and in the evening, we try to contact the bygone personalities of different ages, sublime spiritual personalities, whose every word has got a power, for they spring out of actual experience. They are transforming words. So we place ourselves in direct contact with these master minds, and their living experiences fill the pages of these scriptures. So when we read a scripture, we forget the material world and we are in a world of ideas springing from experience, and the power of spiritual illumination is behind the words of sages who have given out the scriptures. Swadhyaya means therefore sitting before the authors of the scriptures, Shankara, etc. It is a kind of negative satsang. We place ourselves en rapport with the great ones who are illumined with the radiance of self-realization when we sit in Swadhyay. These personalities are not dead and gone. They are not extinct. They have become one with the eternal spirit, and therefore their personality is eternal. It doesn't perish. Their personality is not like the personality of ordinary man, which changes at every death. They become eternal. Thus, we establish contact with the sages who are present invisibly. We get the company of the illumined saints by reading books. It's not everyone who is given to have satsang with Mahatmas. Only a few people get the opportunity of having satsang. Therefore, once we come into contact with the saints, we should try our best, and then we should manage ourselves by Swadhyay. If we take the voice of Himalayas of Gurudev Sri Swami Shivananda Maharaj, we feel that we are with Swamiji and he is speaking to us. Authors are many. Even ordinary authors who have not the power of the spirit are able to inspire. Even when ordinary writers have got the power, how much more should be the power of spiritual writers whose every word comes out of the direct experience. Their experience is deeper. They do not sway the reader from the emotional and mental plane only. They go and touch the spirit of the man who regularly takes to Swadhyay. Every day it is a plunge into the Jnana Ganga. Swadhyay gives us the spiritual path. We are always plunged into an ocean of vyavaharik thoughts. Come occasionally in the company of the saints, and we plunge into the wisdom that flows from the words of the saints. That is what Swadhyaya does. The greatest virtue of the human heart is gratitude. Even dogs have it. Therefore, they say that nothing is so terrible as a person's ungratefulness. There is a sonnet, "Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude." So we have to be grateful to our forefathers from whom we have received something. There is a concept of Panchamahayagnas. Through yajna, we offer a part of ourselves, our time, our energy, our intelligence, and thus repay a little bit of the debt of gratitude we owe to others. So, within this Pancha Mahayagnas, one is called Rishi Yajna. And then for our guidance, for our practical instructions, for our inspiration, for our caution, for our protection, for our warning, due warning before danger comes, the great men of wisdom and enlightenment, the illumined sages of God realization, have left their wisdom teachings in the form of scriptures. So to them, the whole world is eternally grateful. These the Maharishis have produced the scriptures, and the debt gets repaid by making use of these wisdom teachings by us, by our daily study. This study is an attempt to repay our debt of gratitude to the great sages, remote as well as recent, which is called Swadhyaya. Gurudev says, do Swadhyaya, study systematically the scriptures. Holy scriptural readings should be backed up by pure thoughts, and pure thoughts induce us to take to Holy Scriptures study, and thus the study encourages and brings about a purity of thought. They are all interconnected. Therefore, study of scriptures is an important part of the 20 spiritual instructions and forms what is known as Rishi Yajna. To repay our debt of gratitude to these great sages of yore, the ancient men of wisdom who have given us the greatest of all treasures, knowledge, which alone distinguishes the human being from all lesser species, we should make a sincere, earnest, daily attempt on our part to study these wisdom teachings. Knowledge makes the difference between the animal, the human being and the devil. The richest sources of Ghana, the most precious part of global human heritage, is the wisdom teachings of the great ones. Not to take recourse to them is the height of ingratitude. Not to take recourse to them is failure to recognize their great worth and value, their place in our lives, and the role they have to play in our evolution. It would be behaving like the swine before whom some pearls were cast. If we do not take recourse to these great treasures and study them daily, therefore we must assert our humanity, our human status, exercise our wisdom and go to these sources of living waters and drink of them daily, attain immortality and make our life fruitful with supreme blessedness and liberation. Hari Om Tat Sat.